आप सुन रहे हैं ग्राउंड ब्रेकिंग कम्युनिटी स्ट्रीम। Hi, this is Q live and direct from Delhi. Welcome to the episode 15. If this is the first time you're listening to the podcast, don't forget to subscribe maybe. The episodes are also up on YouTube. You can check them out. And if you've been listening and have some feedback for me, you can shoot me a mail mentioned in the podcast description. For this episode, we have Anish Shakthi, who is an industrial designer working at Logitech based in the island. Anish is also a visual artist, works around typography and anything visual. Welcome to the show, Anish. How's it going?
Hey Q, nice to see you. First of all, it's going good. Thanks for the intro. First of all, nice intro, short and sweet. I like it. And no, yeah, it's going good. I flew back to Ireland last week, so settling in, unpacking. Still got to unpack all the Indian food. You know how all moms send like tons of food, so yeah, got to unpack all that now.
How long were you there? I remember the last time we had a chat, you were in Bangalore or somewhere.
Yeah, I was in Bangalore, and then I moved to Tamil Nadu in my native place, basically where my grandparents live, and it was so relaxing there because like it's an open space, you know, there's a lot of trees, and you know you can just go outside, and it's like a complete like detaching from your normal everyday life. So it was a good break. Took 1 month off and didn't do anything crazy, just took it easy, and yeah, just went with the flow.
Awesome. So yeah, how's it going with you? How long you've been living in Ireland? Must be some time, right? A couple of years, yes.
Yeah, no, I joined as an intern in 2019. So since then, but there was a huge break because of COVID in 2020. So I spent like 8 months in India. So I'd say around 2 years in Ireland.
All right, so let's just start with talking about your schooling. Where did you go to your primary school?
Yeah. So I obviously I spent most of my life in Bangalore, and I went to this school called Vidyaniketan, and honestly, I think that's kind of where I was introduced to a lot of like creative things. I think yeah, like in I remember in fifth grade there was this animation course guys who came to our school, and they were like they just showed us what they do, and just to see how many kids are interested, and just to see if they can actually make a class in our school. So it was like a weekend course which I joined. Obviously, I think I still remember. I was really impressed by this one thing they did. So this instructor person went to the whiteboard. He just did like he just called this one random kid, told them to just scribble something, like any random blobby shape, and this guy just made a character out of it. And at the time, that was like super cool. I was like, "Whoa, that's cool! I want to do that." And I joined, and I think it's like it was a good first few introduction to I think we learned basic sketching, and they taught us how to draw circles. I remember we were like spending so much time drawing like circles, and all that happened in school. So I think it had a good start in school, and from that I think that interest kept growing, and then I moved to I think when I just went to like 10th grade, I was more interested in like this hand-drawn animation by then, and I had a good understanding of like basic sketching skills and all that. So I was like, even in my free time, I used to just like draw things and kind of So yeah, I think school really was a good first start for my like my interests.
Awesome. I mean, so at this time, you were kind of ready that okay, you've decided that okay, you wanted to study design, or maybe this design was something you always wanted to study.
That is interesting. That question is very surprising. Even till today, I don't know why. this happen. But I was interested in design, right? Like I said, since school, I was like really interested in this, but I never thought like I would do this. I was kind of following the path of my friends and my neighbors and all of that, whoever was around me basically. So I ended up studying 2 years, like prepping for like IIT, JEE, and all that engineering entrance exam while doing my first and second PU. And then I realized like this. I mean, it's not even me. Like uh, there was this one random day, my dad asked me, "Is this what you want to do? Like, do you wanna do this or do you want to do design?" Because he's from this background. Like he himself is a designer, and he's seen me work throughout my childhood doing all these art and craft kind of things. And he asked me like, do you want to try design? Do you want to do something like this? And I was like, cool, why not? Like I didn't even pay too much attention. So he did all the research for me. He did all like where I can go. He found industrial design and he asked me, is this something that you're interested in? And at the time, I think it was really cool because I saw the website, I saw what people were doing, like our seniors and all that. And that got me like super excited. I was like, okay, fine, this can be an actual thing I can do. And that step down from that engineering thing and step up to design, I think was like the biggest one. And again, like I said, to this day, I don't know why I was even following and doing that thing, but I'm glad my dad asked me, and I'm glad I changed and pivoted at that time.
Awesome. I mean, do you think your father has made an impact on you about design, maybe in a way, or maybe you've seen him designing things throughout your childhood or something? I think
Yeah,
there's definitely a role to play.
yeah, no, I totally agree because my dad, like I still remember when I was like a baby almost, like he used to just get a piece of paper and he used to just start sketching cars. I love cars. I still love cars. And he used to sketch cars and I used to be so excited, like I still remember those days. And and I used to see him work. When I was a kid, I used to go hang out in his office. I used to see how he does stuff. And I was always in that kind of headspace. And I think definitely that had a positive impact on like what I want to do. And I think it just naturally kind of fell into place. And yeah, definitely my dad he has a big role in like what I do now. And yeah, super thankful for all of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. I can only imagine having a parent who also designs. So yeah, because whenever I ask people about their design career, or how did they go into design, most of the time their parents have no idea about what they study. So definitely an
Yeah.
advantage if your father knows about design, or a designer. So that's great to know. So yeah, so now you shifted to foundation of your design schooling. How did it
Mhm.
maybe worked out for you? Was it something that you were expecting, or something that you maybe did not have any idea about?
Yeah. Okay. So now, okay, if I kind of put myself in that time where I found DSK, and I really enjoyed the work that people like alumni from DSK did. And at the time I was I was fully focused in this. I was doing research. I remember like hours and hours on YouTube just kind of learning how actual designers kind of. And I remember, I think the two biggest people who I was following at the time was Scott Robertson on YouTube, and also Sang Won Seok. I think he's a Korean,
Yeah,
yeah, like he
yeah,
sketches really
designer.
well. And yeah, I'm sure you know these guys, right?
Yeah.
Like I think they're like big, at the time, just learning about how they see design, how they explain it, and you could see the passion and like how they do it. I think all of that kind of gets kind of translated to me, who is kind of looking at this in a new eye. And from all of this, I wanted to kind of do transportation because I love cars, right? Like I said earlier, it's always been part of me since I was a kid, and it just made common sense to just do this because you like cars, you like sketching cars, and just go for it. But I think that's one of the hardest decisions I've had to do, is to kind of let go of transport design and focus on something such as industrial design or product design. I think at the time I felt like I was wrong. I shouldn't have done this, because like everything points to that. But I think it's one of the best decisions I've done, because like I love this, and it's kind of like a hidden thing that I didn't think I would actually like. It was not in front of my face, but uh, I think just everything like indirectly kind of pushed me in this way, and I'm like super glad. So
Awesome.
did that answer your question? I don't know if
Yeah,
it did.
yeah, it did. It definitely did.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, as you mentioned that in your schooling, you got a chance to kind of get an intro about design, or get an intro about how
Yeah.
this creative field works. So now you were in the game where you were sketching all the time, and like you were
Mhm.
generating concepts. So through this time, do you were also exploring that, okay, is this really something I want to do, or maybe I want to do something more towards art, for example, because in our previous conversation also you've mentioned that you have a slightly a little bias towards art. So how did you kind of find your way, find your path towards industrial design?
That's interesting. For me it's like coming from like that creative background. I think art and like creativity and sketching has always been there, and I think what industrial design kind of pushed me towards was actually making all of that kind of a bit realistic, like bringing them to reality almost. And I think that kind of um, love came from how I saw transport design, and how I saw sketches turn into concepts and turn into actual models. I think that love kind of got translated into product design, and how what the variety of things you can do with it, and the depth that product design can go into.
I can also kind of figure out from your work that you really love sketching. You really love communicating from your sketching, from your visual skills. Is it something
Mhm.
that you've always enjoyed doing, or something you've learned on learned on the way?
Yes, I've always enjoyed doing sketching. I think like I said about that background of animation and learning the basics of drawing, and I think just through the people I've been around, I think I've kind of found that it's almost like it almost feels natural. Even in school, I used to just sketch on tables, and make little cars on like on the school desks, and even when I went to college, I think it's kind of like always been there. Like even when I'm just sitting around and I'm kind of doing nothing, I think it's just natural for me to just grab a pen and a piece of paper and just start doodling something. So yeah, sketching has always been there, and I think yeah, like I feel like it's definitely kind of helped me build all of that experiences has got me to where I am.
As you were spending a lot of time sketching and learning more about design, how much maybe the curriculum played a role in your learning, or maybe the people around you, did they have any role to play in your career, or maybe the kind of curriculum we had? Because I know that we had a lot of intensive projects where
Mhm.
all we had were the people around us where we are learning from. Do you want to talk about it a bit?
Yeah, yeah. I think DSK's kind of main strength, I'd say, is the people, and like how you look at your seniors and how you kind of get inspired by the things they create. I think is a big driving force. I think for many people in our school, and I think definitely that's been the same case for me as well. Just in the first year, when you look at designers and from our college have worked in like Puma and like big places, and you're like, okay, you know what, I can also do that, and I can also be like that, and you start to kind of emulate them, and you start to kind of get inspired and kind of do things that push you and that you feel take you to that place. And definitely it's for I think I believe in like for a young student who is in design, I think following someone and seeing someone's path and kind of seeing if you can fit in that and kind of pushing yourself along that, I think is a really good booster to kind of do what kind of achieve what you envision yourself to do.
Yeah.
And I think DSK is people, I think is the biggest factor for that. And I like the fact that you have seniors who've already gone outside TSK and you get inspired by them. You have seniors in the school who are on that path, and you see how they are kind of transitioning and finding their own kind of thing to do. And you're kind of observing that, and you're seeing, okay, you know what, that's one thing I want to do, but these guys are doing it this way, and they're kind of going towards it in this way, and maybe that could work for me. And naturally, getting all of this, I think you just start to kind of carve your own little thing and find your own little shape. And I think and I have to say, like, even people in our own batch, I think is a good kind of thing to look at, because we're all in the like people in your batch are in the same kind of headspace as you. And I think it's a good positive push when all of you guys are working towards the same thing. And I think it's really satisfying also to see as you go to your later stages of your education, to see how people branch out into what they like to do and how they've kind of found their little thing that they want to improve on. So definitely, I think the people, the kind of environment that a design school gives you is really important to kind of how you or what you want to do, and how you find what you want to do, I think.
Yeah.
So,
I can't agree more with you, man. I mean, most of the things I've learned in design school was because of my friends and the people and my seniors, of course by doing. I can see that you spend some time working on around advertising. I'm just curious to know what the kind of work you were doing there.
Yeah, that's a very cool one, because like I said, my dad is in the advertising field, and he's been there for years, and that's what he's been doing. And I've been seeing that whole thing. Like I said earlier, I've been in that kind of space where he creates, and I've seen the way he does his work. And when I was in my first year, second year, I did my internship in an advertising agency called Lintas in Bangalore. So they're a pretty big agency in Bangalore for advertising, and they have pretty good clients. And as an intern there, I was lucky enough to do really cool projects. And the beauty of an advertising agency is that it's super fast paced. You have jobs every day, and every day is like a new kind of experience. It's kind of the contrast of what industrial design is. Industrial design, I think, is a way longer process because you have a lot of things that you have to put together and then create and tell and then bring out. But I think advertising, because of the nature of it, it's very kind of fast paced, and I think just that environment to be in. I think people are more energetic, more they kind of move around more, and there's a lot of collaboration, and there's a lot of kind of things happening. And when I spent about 3 months there, but those 3 months are amazing because I got to work on a lot of different kinds of things. And I think it's a beautiful little field that I won't be saying no if I get a nice opportunity to go back to advertising. I think it's a really really exciting thing to kind of put yourself into. I think I'm a big fan.
And do you think that, okay, one, you worked in an advertising agency for some time, and once you were again back to college to finish your industrial design education. So what was going in your head, with the kind of information you had with advertising? How did it maybe help you in your industrial design process?
I think advertising, the biggest way it helped me was, to get things done quick. I think, like I said, the fast-paced environment demands you to kind of get it done and get it done well. And like, I think that's the, like, it's the mentality that I really try to take forward. But it helped me more than just the mentality. I think even just hard skills. I think I was really comfortable by the end of it, with like vector software like Illustrator, and also, Photoshop and things like that, and finding a good workflow to kind of create different kind of things through it. And that's a skill, because I feel, before my advertising kind of 3 month stint, I wasn't a big user of Illustrator, but by the end of it, I could really feel comfortable, because the whole kind of workflow involves it. And I think in that short time, I was able to kind of get a good grip of it. And even to this day, I think it's the main way I learned Illustrator, and I really I enjoy Illustrator even today. So definitely thanks to that kind of environment.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I mean, I see. I've been following your little project named Cosmograph, if I'm naming it correct.
yeah,
Yeah, I really love
yes, it is.
what you're doing there. So yeah,
Thank
definitely.
you.
I mean, even to me, 2D, something 2D, and like something which is related to advertising definitely helps with your design process in order to maybe do better in the later part of the process, in the maybe the development part of the process. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely love working around 2D. You mentioned that you mentioned about this thing of having problem shifting gears, right? Maybe losing
Hmm.
motivation and feeling a bit overwhelmed. How did you
Yeah.
maybe consistently passed it on, or maybe
Yeah.
kind of pushed you on every step, that okay, you don't have to maybe distract yourself from where you were going?
Hmm. Hmm. I think it's a good kind of segue to that, because the kind of result of all of that is, is my kind of love for uh, creating these 2D illustrations and posters, and even my photography. I think is a result of what I said about, that kind of overwhelming feeling. I think it started. I think a bit when I felt like I was going in a, like, kind of like a, almost like a uh, flat path where there's nothing interesting. I don't know. Like, I felt at the time, I felt like I was doing something monotonous, and because of that, I felt like uh, there was no real motivation to create something new. And when that happens, I think you just kind of, how do you say, you lose that critical eye to kind of judge your own work. I think you lose that ability to kind of say, okay, fine, what I'm doing is good and what I'm doing is bad. And when you lose that motivation, I think it just becomes like a downward spiral almost, where it's like it goes to a point where, like, you don't see what you think what you did is not right, and you then try to change it in some way, and then when you lose that ability to say that this is a good thing or a bad thing, I think it just feels like nothing is happening. And I think that is what I was facing in at some point in my kind of design education as well. And I think, just in retrospect, thinking about all of this kind of negative feelings towards what you create, I think it's kind of natural in the process. At the time, it felt very kind of not fun. Let's say it felt, like it felt like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I designing? I feel like it's pointless. But I think it's a bit natural for every designer to feel that kind of imposter syndrome, to feel a bit, overwhelmed with different things. And I think it's important to shift gears at that time when you have that feeling. And I think um, trying new things, stepping away from the thing what you feel is bringing you down, I think is very important. It's I think for me, how I kind of found that was through creating these graphics, to creating these posters, and it made me kind of uh, take my mind of what I am traditionally kind of always thinking about, and put it in something else that at the time was just fun to do. I what I enjoyed at the time was just to kind of see something, take it in my mind in some way, and kind of put it on Illustrator and try to find some unique way of showing how I felt. I think easy way to explain this is, once I was having this kind of headache, and it was just not fun. So what I did was I quickly rendered out this head almost, and I did like a simple distort on Photoshop where the head area kind of gets wavy, and then I just wrote headache, and I kind of just showed, like, it was like a visual representation of my headache, where my face is like normal, but the head area is just like gone crazy. So little things like that, I think uh, at the time it was just something that just brings me like brief happiness. It's like I do this, I feel cool. Oh, that's actually cool. And I make it my wallpaper maybe, and I kind of post it on Instagram, and little things like that, and it feels cool. And I think all of these little things is what kind of got me away from that feeling really crap, feeling really like this is not what I want to do kind of mindset to this. And I think in my case, I felt it was a bit extreme, but the reason, like, I don't know if it helps someone. I think the main reason is I couldn't understand why I was feeling like that. And I think if someone feels really down in your work, and when you're creating, I think it's important to kind of step away. I think that's part of the process. You step away from what you're doing, do something else, and come back to it with a fresher perspective. And I think this 2D work, sketching, and these illustrations, I think is just part of that. When I feel a bit not not fine, I just do something else. I kind of just take a step aside, and that gets me back with a fresh uh, kind of burst of energy and perspective, and that kind of uh, helps me kind of finish the task that actually made me feel bad. So I think it's a good feeling when all of that is done, and in retrospect, it's if you feel empowered that you went past that. So
Yeah.
that's always good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, very, very insightful. And of course, I mean, I also feel the same way. And definitely, it's
Yeah.
really not a good state to be in, where you are kind of moving in a loop. So yeah, it's always great to maybe take a step back and come back with full force. So yeah, definitely,
Yeah, exactly.
definitely crazy. I also have been noticing your amazing pictures you've been clicking. So is it again something that is helping you out with your day to day schedule or day to day?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, you're right. You're right, because it wasn't like like I don't actively say, oh, okay, I'm feeling bad, so I wanted to take photos. It's not like that. It's like I think photography and all of these little graphic design experiments are like are really essential to the process, but they're not they're a background kind of support. Like you don't put them. I think the purpose for those is not to be not to care about it too much. It just put yourself in that flow, in that state, and keep going. uh, I think the main job is industrial design, and that's what my mind is always like 90-95%. It's always on that. But I think to have that little breathing space is really effective in yeah, to create, good designs, I think, in my mind. So photography definitely helped me, especially during this pandemic, when you're kind of stuck at home, just taking the camera, playing around with it, and going on like brief walks outside, get some air. I think just taking the camera out, I think you see things that you normally don't see. You kind of notice the little kind of details in your surroundings, and when you look at it through that kind of viewfinder, where it's black all around and you're just seeing a square or a rectangle, you kind of appreciate the little things around you. So I like that feeling, of walking around, capturing things that usually goes unnoticed, and almost like you're just an observer in the background, and you kind of just let yourself go. So my usual kind of way is like, if I'm really feeling like I want to take photos, I just pick up my camera, I put on my earpods, and just go out of the house. I have like a playlist where I have like a photo walk playlist, and it's just like really good, like minimal techno kind of music, and I just go outside, walk. I don't use Google Maps or anything. I just keep going, just to kind of explore new. I intentionally kind of go to new places that I've not gone to. So then you have more. You can see things in a kind of cool, fresh perspective, and yeah, it's something that I lately have been really enjoying, and yeah, I continue to keep going with that. So let's see. So
yeah, I mean, you definitely made it sound so amazing for sure, right? I can imagine the feeling you're having, right? It's great. Yeah, I mean, it's always great to find kind of an escape to
it is, yeah,
create something, right?
Yeah, I think it's like it feels good to kind of step away, and do something else that makes you happy, and then come back, and it's always nice to have that.
That's also, I think, important to put a fuel in your creative process also, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the phase where you're kind of reaching out for your final internship, and I think you had to move your college from India to France. So how was that phase for you? How was you how maybe you were keeping up with the process? You had this thing in your mind which you were constantly thinking about, maybe securing a nice job, a nice internship. How was that phase for you?
Oh, very. It was a very weird phase, to put it simply, because no one expected the college to shut down. So, like everyone, I was like, what? I was in my internship or something. Yeah, no, something like that. I was just not following what's happening. But I got like messages from people saying, oh, the college is closing. What are you gonna do? And I was like, I don't know what to do. But I think we're all like, our whole batch is like super lucky, that the French university took us to join and finish our education there. I think I didn't expect that. I wasn't ready to kind of. I didn't plan on like stepping away from India and going to France, and in a new country, new place, new people, and finishing my education. But I'm really glad I did that, because I think it just I saw work in a different way, because I think in DSK, I think just the nature of the place, we're always in that little design bubble. We're all in the campus, or we're in the cafeteria, and then we walk back to ISD. We kind of hustle, and that's always been like that. But when we moved to France, I had 3 roommates, and now we had to go out, get groceries, and cook for ourselves. And like, I was like, what is this? But it's kind of like that, right? Like, it's a complete change. And then I think that's the time I realized, design is there, but there's something else as well. You gotta
Yeah.
feed yourself. You gotta
Yeah.
kind of live
The
as
life
well.
skills.
So I
The
think,
life skills. Yeah.
yeah, the life skills. The life skills kind of hit when we moved to France, and I think that kind of like, if I look at it through work terms, I think it made me realize that design is there, but you gotta find some time to take breaks, do something, and also take care of yourself and things like that. So yeah, moving to France, I think that's one of the biggest ones. I think I was really lucky to have awesome roommates, and I think that helped me kind of settle in really well. And I think just finishing education there, doing so, I actually shifted for a transport design brief for my final project, and I think that was kind of satisfying my thirst to do something in transport since the first year.
Yeah.
And I was really glad because the team was amazing. We did like a really interesting project, and I think we ended on a nice high. And yeah, I think that was really good. And you also said something about the internship. I think I didn't answer that.
Yeah. I
So
just wanted to know, I mean, how you have a clear idea about where you wanted to go? Maybe you wanted to reach out to some FMCG brands or something, like a brand like Logitech. So how you had a clear idea about where you wanted to go, or maybe spend your initial career?
Yeah, no. So clear idea, I wouldn't say it was like super clear, but I think it was clear to an extent that I wanted to do electronics because in my third year internship, I was at Bosch, and I think Bosch is when I realized that consumer electronics is actually a really interesting field. Since I was a kid, I was always interested in gadgets, electronics, Apple and all of that stuff. And I was always watching tech YouTube and things like that. And I think I never realized at the time before Bosch that consumer electronics could actually be something where I can be effective in, and because it's something that I always loved, and I realized after that this is a good field to do. So after Bosch internship, I came back to DSK. I kind of decided that this is what I want to focus on. And by the time we started looking for the final year internship, I realized that this is something that I would focus on. So if I had two options at the time. I was like, if I want to join a company, I would want to join like a consumer electronics company. But otherwise, I would be happy to settle in for a design studio because a design studio is like super versatile and super. It kind of reminded me of that advertising kind of fast-paced kind of nature. So those were my two options, and I started kind of narrowing down according to that. Yeah, Logitech was definitely on one of my main places to work, and yeah, and other places were like a few good agencies like For People, like Design It, and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the brands I love. Now you were working at a brand who are basically pioneers in their scene. So how was the process maybe different from what you were studying in a design school, or maybe how was it maybe different, or maybe was it like similar? You were doing the similar things you were maybe doing in design college.
I think the best way to answer that is it's not the same because design school we learn to do we kind of almost followed like a set process, like just based on how our curriculum was kind of constructed. It was like analysis, creativity, and development, right? Like that's the kind of thing we thought is the process. But in when I moved to Logitech, I think each project has its own kind of process. I think what design school does really well is that it gives you like a good first step to understand, a brief kind of overview of like this is how you would approach a project. But when you step into like a actual design job, like say how I was in Bosch or how I was in Logitech, I think each project has a different kind of nature. Sometimes projects are really well defined, and when they're well defined, you have a lot of constraints, and the process changes for that. And sometimes projects are really open, really broad, and there's a kind of different way you tackle a very broad brief as well. So I think when I joined Logitech, I think I realized that certain projects should be approached this way and certain projects in a different way. And just by looking at different designers in Logitech and how they kind of went through their process, I think I realized, like just over time, I got that experience that this is the right way to approach it.
I noticed that you got a chance to work on this such amazing products like MX keys and MX Anywhere 3. Do you want to talk about it if you're of course if you're allowed to talk about the process, or maybe how some insights, maybe if you can maybe give us?
Yeah, no, I can. Yeah, for sure. I think I at Logitech, I'm in the MX team. So what the MX team does is it's like the premium range of products for Logitech, and we focus on like this kind of idea of when you create or when you're working, we want to give the users the best tool to kind of get stuff done. And I think uh, when I joined, I was in that mindset. Just looking at MX, I realized that that's the kind of goal. Like you have these users, you have these people who want to create, want to do stuff, and how do we kind of give them tools to achieve what they want to do in like a very smooth and easy and seamless way. So I think MX Anywhere and MX Keys Mini, I think, were the two projects that I worked on, and my two first projects, which I really really enjoy, and I am using them at the moment. So it's a moment of proudness, let's say. It feels good to actually do that. But I think how this MX Anywhere has always been like a big part of Logitech's portfolio. So I think MX Anywhere 3 is just it's an update for obviously MX Anywhere 2S, but in this design change, I think we focus on making a kind of a mouse that is very friendly in the way it feels and appeals to a lot of different creators and different users. I think that was kind of the goal we went with, and I was an intern at the moment, so I had plenty to work on, but I think the bigger picture and thinking was done by the rest of the team. So that's that. And MX Anywhere Key, MX Keys Mini was the first project that I could lead, and since it wasn't a very big new product, it's basically the MX Keys but smaller. I think my manager thought that it'll be a nice first project for me to kind of learn the process, learn the way the company works, and I think we had the opportunity to do a lot of new things with it. I think with the emoji key and with just a new compact form factor, I think it's almost like a no-brainer. Like people, I think creators need that space to create, and something compact like the MX Anywhere 3 and the MX Keys Mini, I think just give you more room for doing other things, like putting your sketchbooks on the table, and it kind of stays out of the way but still helps you do stuff. So I think it follows that same principle that MX is kind of straight true for, and I think I think it's a really good experience for me to kind of learn how the company works and how we can get a product from the start to the finish, and how the little details that go into it, and the little kind of things that we communicate with other people, and in order to achieve such a cool result. I think biggest learnings.
I mean, it must be very thrilling to see the products you worked on in the market and on your table. So I mean, that's
on my table.
A proud moment for sure. Congrats for that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. So I mean, you you had gone to Logitech as an intern and ended up working with them as a full-time designer. Maybe what were the set of things you were doing right in your internship that they kind of considered you in your team later and let you work on such an important projects, right? Or maybe
Yeah.
so some tips you want to give to the people who are maybe in the same process in the same phase.
hmm Yeah. So I think, I mean, if I just think of myself and like what I felt, like if what I felt I did kind of right is that I showed interest in what I do. I think that's very important for any designer, to be honest, is to do what you love. Like I think the second you really do what you love, you always aim to kind of push, and you always aim to kind of fully involve yourself. And I think one of the biggest, like the one of the best things I've done is to narrow down in the beginning that this is the few companies that I really want to work for. Because even if I got the opportunity of some place that I didn't want to work for, I feel like I wouldn't have had that passion and that kind of commitment that you would have if you really, really like what you do. And I think, over time, I think my manager and my team members saw that passion, I think, and saw the fact that I was really involved in what I want to create. And I think that kind of love, it takes you kind of to do more than what's expected. And, always that's good in a team, when you have team members who kind of push past the boundaries and they kind of do find new things. And I think that's always valued. So I think even in my internship, I kind of showed those qualities where I was always I was always pushing past what's expected. And when you can do that, uh, I think people will want to keep you, I guess. But I guess that's good. But yeah, I'd say just the biggest tip I can probably give is just to do what you love, because that's the kind of root for everything. Like if
Yeah.
you like what you do, you are for sure to kind of be one of the best in it. So yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, not to say that, not I want to say, not to say that I think I'm the best, but
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah,
no, but it
that's the thing.
definitely makes sense. I mean, what's the point of you even stepping into design if you don't love it at the first place?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
definitely makes sense. I was sitting on a call with bunch of my friends and was discussing
hmm
that I'll be talking to you, and if they have maybe some question to
Sweet.
ask to you. So yeah, they were just curious about how to get hired at a place like Logitech. So if you can maybe
Okay.
because because this is that brand which is in a lot of people's wish list or something
hmm
they dream about. So if you
hmm
what are they looking for? I mean, do you have to have some electronic devices in your portfolio, or is it the kind of thinking you have?
I think it's more the thinking and the kind of uh, quality that you show. When you have a portfolio with like a set of like some clarity that that feels like this is quality work. I think that it's kind of like just intuitive. Like everyone has a portfolio that fits somewhere. And I think how Logitech kind of, I mean, I can't speak too much for how the company hires, but
Yeah.
how I would see is that if you show interest in what Logitech is doing, like for example, if you have interest in, say, how to create a really uh, something that helps people do things and create things, I think that is kind of like I feel like it's easy for people in Logitech to see that. You know what? Okay, let's cut it at this time. Let me rephrase the whole thing. I think it'll be it'll be bad to say it like that. But
That's
so
fine.
okay, fine. So how do I say this again?
Yeah, I think
Um,
you answered
no,
pretty well. I think there was
yeah, no. I just wanted to say, like, I just wanted to say that I think a portfolio that shows like your interests clearly, and if your interests kind of align with what Logitech is looking for, and I think like what I would do is like look at the company's values, see how the company, what the company creates, how they create, and if you kind of show that your thinking is in the same wavelength as that, I feel like it kind of matches. And I think Logitech also looks for people who would think in like the same kind of groundbreaking way as they would. I mean, that's like for everyone, I guess, but I think there's just that sense of okay, this guy will fit in, or this guy can tune his kind of work to fit into our kind of way of working. I think that's something that you kind of learn. You try to learn through portfolios, I think.
yeah.
But yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, make so much sense. Now I need to, I can consider what are the things I should keep in mind before applying to Logitech. So yeah,
Oh yes.
awesome. So so suddenly for past a couple of years,
Hmm.
we've been saying this sudden change of remote working, working around.
Hmm.
You are at different places in the world and working on one thing. This also has a kind of gave people a scope to make tools to design better or
Hmm.
so considering all of these skills you should have one should have all of the skill about selling themselves as a designer. What do you think are the important traits to be a designer, to be an industrial designer in 2022?
Hmm. Um, I think I've gone over the fact that first of all, do what you love. I think, like you said, if you're in design, it's kind of automatic that you are interested in this, and you are here because you love it. I think I think I think curiosity is a big trait that a designer should have, and the willingness to kind of fail and explore different things, because there's if I think of a young designer and a really experienced designer, uh, I think what I see in common is both of them should or will be willing to fail and improve, because that's like the creative process is not linear, right? Like it's
Yeah.
circular. It's almost like it's like you try something, you see if it works. If it doesn't work, you go back and you do something else to see if it works. I think where really kind of young designer differs from experienced designer is this ability to judge, hey, will this work or not? I think the younger designer would want to kind of fail more to find that flow, find that process, while the experienced designer would have already had that experience before, and they have that kind of eye to judge, what's the right way to do it. But what's common is that both of them have had that mindset of uh, repeating and failing and pushing back again. I think that's one of the things even I try to kind of do every day, because I think we spoke earlier about process, and
Yeah.
how different problems have different ways of tackling it, because I don't think there's a common process for everything. So the only way you can actually find that is to through trial and error, I think. And I think that willingness to fail and do it again, I think, is, in my opinion, at least at the time, what I
Yeah.
think is probably the biggest trait a designer can have. I think that's kind of like the key to kind of keep pushing, you
Yeah.
know. And when you have that keep pushing attitude, I think it's just a matter of time till you kind of do what you like and create something cool.
Yeah. Very well said, Anish. So yeah, that takes us to the end of our podcast. And I wanted to know that how you'd like to align yourself, or maybe align your career in terms of your skill sets, or maybe things you would like to learn in coming months. How you'd like to be known, or what kind of a designer you want to become, or the kind of skills you want to have. If you maybe can take us through your future plans, for example.
Well, I think it's a very hard thing to predict or like try to put yourself into, because like even like if I think 5 6 years earlier, I wouldn't have even thought that I would be in Logitech. I wouldn't have even thought I would have left India at the time. So it's kind of hard for me to imagine what I want to or where I would be. But I think just if I like if I have to answer that in some way, I'd say um, eventually I want to have like a portfolio of products that is really as cliche as it sounds, meaningful to people and useful to people. I think I really believe in like timelessness in design. I like that idea and notion of things that last or stand the test of time, because it's important in so many ways, like being you know something that's so useful that it doesn't go out of fashion. I think that is like the end goal, for me. I feel like if I can achieve that level of quality, I think that would be like a job well done. If I can,
Yeah.
I think timeless design cannot. You can't design for timeless design, right? So
Yeah.
only time will tell. So I guess that's my goal. To have things that just make sense. And honestly, I don't even know what. I can't say. I can't say it's electronics. I can't say it's furniture. But I wanna do these different things. I feel like, yes, I am really interested in electronics even now. It's still like a big fire in what I want to do. Um, but I've always been interested in like different fields of industrial design and product design. So I can't even say like this is what I want. This is what I see myself create. But I think, yeah, if hopefully one day I have designs that just make sense and just feel up to date even when it's yeah, it's
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome.
I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total
So,
sense. Awesome. Thanks for this insightful conversation, Anish. I hope to see you soon. Thank you.
yeah, thank you, Q. I think it was awesome to be here. So thanks for that.